We are going to dedicate this entire video to diastasis recti. What exactly is it? How we can prevent it during pregnancy, along with my favorite safe and effective core exercises that you can do during any trimester of pregnancy. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Antoinette. I am a certified personal trainer and an online strength and fat loss coach. I am currently 35 weeks pregnant. I've been very dedicated to weightlifting in the gym and doing core exercises all throughout my pregnancy journey, so that way I can build a nice and stabilized core to minimize back pain, to of course prevent the abdominal separation during pregnancy, along with improving labor and delivery. So again, we're going to talk all about diastasis recti. Then at the end of this video, I'm going to demonstrate some core exercises that you can do during pregnancy. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video. So diastasis recti is a condition where the abs separate during pregnancy, which is usually the rectus abdominis. This is the outer layer of your abdominal muscles, and as the uterus grows and expands to support your growing baby, the rectus abdominis starts to separate. Having diastasis recti is actually super common. 60% of women actually end up with some degree of DR, but there are ways to minimize and prevent the condition from getting any worse. So there are a few ways that you can get diastasis recti. The first and common one is doing ab-specific workouts during pregnancy. So this includes any bending or twisting at the spine, and doing any kind of ab workouts that work the rectus abdominis. So crunches, sit-ups, planks, leg raises, Russian twists, V-ups. Those are just some of the few ab-specific exercises that can cause diastasis recti to occur. Another way that DR can occur is lifting super heavy during pregnancy without engaging your core correctly. So there's this thing called hugging the baby, where you're gently drawing your belly inward and engaging your deep core and pelvic floor muscles to support your spine and abdominal wall without bulging or bearing down. So this little cue that is super important is a must, especially if you are weightlifting during pregnancy. So always make sure that you're hugging the baby and engaging your core during any kind of heavy weightlifting to prevent excessive pressure in your abdominal area. And then the last few ways that DR can occur can simply be not engaging your core during typical activities throughout your day. So that can mean straining too hard when you are having a bowel movement, or simply going from a lying to standing position without engaging your core correctly. So just a quick tip: when you are getting out of bed, you always want to keep your knees together, roll to your side, and then push up from your arm to a standing position instead of going from a lying to like a crunchy position to get up out of bed. So always keep that in mind, that simple movements like that during your daily activity can cause diastasis recti to occur. So what are some indicators of having diastasis recti? Now typically it is hard to see if you have DR during pregnancy. After giving birth, you can definitely tell if you have some degree of this condition. The first one is coning, where there is an actual bulge coming out of your abdominal area when you're going from like a sitting to a standing position. You're doing like a specific exercise where you're putting too much pressure in the intra-abdominal area. This is one of the clearest signs of DR, but just because you do see coning during pregnancy, that does not always mean that you have DR. Sometimes it's simply just a warning sign. So let's say that you're doing a push-up where you're putting too much downward abdominal pressure and you start to see your belly form into that cone shape. If you see that happen, that means that you're putting too much pressure on your abdominal area, and that means that you need to stop the exercise and modify to something safer on the belly. So instead of doing regular push-ups, you can do pushes on your knees, or instead of doing a standard plank, you can modify that plank and do a side plank to get rid of that extra abdominal pressure in your belly area. Another indicator of diastasis recti is a gap between your abdominal muscles. And you can usually tell if there's a separation in your belly where there's a 2-finger width gap, which is about 2 centimeters at or around the belly button. Another indicator is having low back pain or instability after pregnancy, having a mommy pooch after pregnancy where your belly looks like it's still pregnant even months after giving birth. And the last one is pelvic floor dysfunction, which goes hand in hand with diastasis recti. And pelvic floor dysfunction is leaking of urine when you're coughing, sneezing, or laughing. What can we do to prevent diastasis recti from occurring during pregnancy? Again, number one, we want to avoid any exercise that causes coning. So again, that can be doing ab-specific exercises, which includes doing any twisting or bending at the spine that targets the rectus abdominis, which is the outer layer, the six-pack layer of your abdominal area. We want to always practice deep core breathing and maintaining a good posture. We want to log roll when we're getting out of bed from a lying position, and we want to do core-specific exercises during each trimester of pregnancy to build a strong foundation in our abdominal area. Now, I've said this in a couple videos, but the difference between core-specific exercises and ab-specific exercises, again, abs work that outer abdominal area, the rectus abdominis, but your core includes 20 plus little muscles underneath that area. This includes your midsection, your back. This entire area is your core. It's not just including the six-pack layer. You want to engage and work those deep core muscles and avoid working that outer layer of our abdominal area. So with that being said, we're going to go over my favorite exercises that I've been doing all throughout pregnancy to build a nice, solid, and strong core. So let's get right into these exercises. Here are a few of the many core exercises that you can do in the comfort of your own home. No equipment is needed, and you can do these every single day during pregnancy. I started these exercises when I found out I was pregnant at 5 weeks, and like I said, I am currently 35 weeks pregnant. These exercises also do not require you to lie on your back, and all of these core exercises are on your hands and knees. As you can see, during every single exercise, I am hugging the baby, again, meaning that I am engaging my core. I am pulling in my belly slightly inwards while lifting my pelvic floor. So you can be doing these exercises, but if you are not engaging your core correctly, you still have a chance of getting DR. So always make sure that you are engaging your core correctly. Always make sure to hug the baby during every given exercise. And this does not only go for deep core movements, this is also needed for any kind of weightlifting or even just like doing simple activities throughout your day. So when you're getting out of bed, you always want to engage your core as well. When you're picking up a heavy box, you want to make sure that your core is engaged. So always keep in mind that you need to be aware of your core engagement to build a strong and solid core, and this all will lead to decreasing the risk of having DR. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.